Hey guys, welcome back. Dr. Anime here. Anyways, so I just watched anime last night. It's called Erased. It came out around 2016, and my friend has been telling me to watch it like a while back, but I never did. So I guess I was just doing other stuff, like watching other animes and reading mangas and all that stuff. So, and I just didn't feel like doing much the last few days, so I just, wanted to watch some shows. Put that on Netflix, watched it. Oh, okay. So this is going to be a spoiler reaction, spoiler review, not reaction. I already watched it. A spoiler review. So if you don't want no spoilers, click off, watch the movie, come back. Alright, so going into this, it starts with the main character, Satoru. Satoru. Satoru Fujinuma. There we go. And he's someone who seemed like a chill guy, but like not really outgoing. He's an aspiring manga artist, but when he went to show his work to publisher, the publisher was like, you're not like putting your all into it, kind of thing. So it didn't work out for him. So he's working as a pizza delivery guy, where he rides a scooter and delivers the pizza. So he's on his way on delivery right now, and he gets like we see like a blue butterfly. I think he sees it too, like a blue butterfly, and then he gets like a feeling where it's like deja vu, and it shows him going down like the same path again. So it shows him doing just riding down here. He gets a feeling. He like looks around, and then it like rewinds him back in time, and he goes, wait, I have to look for something that's different. And he's looking around, and he noticed a truck driver who just passed him, and his arm is like the wheel is like this. So instead of holding it like this, his hand is like this. And you only see like this arm, like from Satoru's point of view. So he already knows there's something wrong with the driver, so he makes a quick U-turn, and he cuts in front of a car, which starts honking on him. And he's able to like speed up a little bit to get like right to the window. He sees that the driver's asleep, so he's banging on the truck, trying to wake him up. In front of him, there's a kid who's crossing the road, and it looks like he's probably like a patrol for like his school or whatever, or like just. Yeah, he has to be a patrol like from his school, because he went in the middle and he had like a sign to like tell the traffic to stop so that people could pass by. And there's an adult that's on the sidewalk that's just letting him do that. Like, you would think that they would be there too, just for safety reasons, but okay, whatever. Different country, different laws and rules that I don't understand. I don't even know if I think they go by. I mean, it was made by people from that country, so I'm assuming that they're like the laws that's in the show is the laws that's there. I could be wrong. Correct me if not. But okay. So the driver's not waking up. So Satoru like reaches in, grabs the wheel, and turns it, and both him and because he's like still in his moped, he pulls it. They turn, just miss the kid, and then one of the adults run out like, oh, "Are you okay?" kind of thing to the kid, and the guy Satoru is like, "All right, I saved the kid," and then a red car is coming like directly at him, and then blacks out. So we get told, like, he's a narrator, he narrates like exactly what happened, which was he has a power to go back in time up to 5 minutes, and he doesn't control it. It just happens when something bad is about to happen, and he has to notice anything different to try to stop it and alternate the course of actions that's gonna something to prevent the bad things from happening. But he wouldn't know what it is unless he looks around and notice something. And he mentions that it it happened to him before, but what was it? It happened to him before, but sometimes not everything good really turns out for him. So it might, him trying to stop something bad from happening might put him in a position to where he gets in trouble or gets hurt or something, like how he just got hurt. And we see him wake up, and next to him is someone he works with named Ari. It's like Ari, Ari. And we do see her before, like when he leaves the pizza place and all that stuff. They don't really have that much of a friendship. Like, they're not like close or nothing like that. But she was there when he saved the kid, so she saw that happen. So they kind of somewhat connect slightly, like become acquaintance, more like closer acquaintance, I should say. To where she's like, I saw a new side of you because he saved the kid, and they have like a whole talk about like what she wants to be. Like, we find out she's like a high school student, so she's probably 15, 16, maybe 17, I don't know, and he's 29. So they're having that dialogue, and eventually he gets released and goes back home, and his mom is there. And you already know that she's very observant. Like, he always like thinks to himself like that witch, because she would say something that she wouldn't normally know unless she's have some powers. But we find out that she's a reporter, or she used to be a reporter. I think she still is, but she was a reporter in the past, so she has that skill to collect information and deduce things, just off the fly. So she decides to that she's gonna stay with him for a bit, just to help him recover. And it seems like they're not that close, because he seems like he didn't even want her to stay there. He was like, now I'm fine, kind of thing. So I mean, they still care about each other. Like, they still love each other, like mom, son. It just doesn't seem like they're that close. It's just that, like, I love you, mom, but, like, you be over there and I'm here, kind of thing. So they go out shopping for, I think it was groceries. And she's talking, and while that's happening, he gets another deja vu feeling, and he calls his power revival. So he gets like a revival feeling, and he looks around, and he asks his mom, do you notice anything weird about here? And she goes, you mentioned that like back in the day when you were a kid. And then she doesn't really take it that serious, but she looks around, she noticed a guy with a hat that's like blocking his upper face, and is walking with a little girl, and she's eating ice cream. So she stopped. Like, she looks around, like there's, and her son Sartoru looks around too. Sartoru doesn't even notice that. Like, even though like they walk right, like he's like in the parking lot and they're like on the sidewalk, so it's still like in his field of vision, or like his peripheral. But he doesn't really look that way, and he's looking around. He sees like a kid with his mom, with a bunch of balloons being released. He's like, like looking all over the place. The mom noticed the guy with the little girl, and she's just staring there. She doesn't fully know if there's something suspect there, but it's like she got like a feeling. The guy like looks at her, like he turns down like his eyes, continue walking with the kid to a car, and then we see the car pull off. It's a blue like van type car, and the kid's still there like after the car pulls off. So in her head, she's like, so was this supposed to be an abduction and he released the girl because I noticed him, kind of thing. Like, that's what she's thinking. And as the car like leaves, she takes a picture with her phone, like of the license plate, and she told Sartoru that, I think you just stopped the abduction. I think she said that later on. Yeah, at the when they get back home, and then he goes, "Wait, what? Really?" And then she goes, "No, of course not." Like, she doesn't tell him that's like a true possibility. Like, that's one of the things I'm like, are you serious? Like, it's not like he's a little kid that needs protecting. He's 29 years old, and he's the one who alerted you that there was an issue. Why couldn't you tell him that like, she told him, but then she made it sound like it was like not a big deal, like a joke. So it's not like it was something that was confirmed to him, and it's not like he's that bright. Like, he didn't notice that. So days passed on to where, like, I think it was like a day or so, to where they were no, yeah, they were shopping, I think, or coming back home from being out. They ran into Ari, where the mom invites her to have dinner with them. So they have she and Ari cooks like the meal. I think it was curry, and they like all bond like throughout that dinner, to where the mom pretty much like is like, oh, so is that your girlfriend or whatever? And then he was like, no, like, I just met her or something like that. Or not just met her, but like, she just was someone I work with or whatever. So that, I'm like, okay, so as a 29-year-old, he could date a high school student. And I don't think she's 18. And even then, that's 11 years difference. Well, okay. And it seemed like it was it wasn't like a unnatural thing there. So I was like, okay, whatever. I ain't judging that. Because I know there's different age depending on different areas and countries and whatever. So right there, like, they try, like, the mom seemed like she was trying to push that. So he's out on, like, it's another day right here. He's out, and the mom, while shopping, she's thinking about what happened, and she remembers seeing the guy's eyes, and then she, like, I think she, like, snapped, like, this vegetable that she was holding in the grocery store, and then, like, people looked at her, and then we see her outside on the phone talking to an old acquaintance of hers, and she was like, I don't think it was, because we found out that there was killings of kids, like, back in the day, and it was kidnappings, but the kids they were missing, and they died. It was three kids that were really told about, and we see, like, their names and stuff, and Saratoru pretty much doesn't really remember it until he sees it, the page and all that stuff, in the newspaper, magazine or whatever, and because it seemed like familiar to him, like, so he also, like, by himself goes in, like, looks it up, and he was like, oh yeah, this happened when I was a kid, and so it seemed like his mom pretty much made him forget, because he even assumed, like, mom probably had me forget all these things as I grew up. So she was like, the person that they believed was the kidnapper / murderer was an adult that spent time with, like, the kids, like her son and some of the other kids, but not on no weird stuff. He was just a good guy that was there to, like, help the kids. Like, if they were having issues, then he would talk to them and be like, no, it's okay, like, like, you don't, it's fine if you're not, the popular student or whatever like that, but if you want to be more confident, then, like, and then stuff like that. Could we get, like, some flashback between him and Saratoru talking, and he was helping him out. So he was a friend of Saratoru, and he gets convicted of being a murderer, and Saratoru never believed that he was, because we see flashbacks of him as a kid telling the cops and his mom, it's not him, he's not the one who did it, he wouldn't do this. So she's over here talking to her old colleague and be like, I don't think that guy was the murderer. I think his name was Yuki. Yeah, Yuki. Or his name wasn't Yuki, but that's what Saratoru always used to call him. So I'm just gonna say Yuki. So, and she tells him, like, she knows who the killer is, but she doesn't tell her colleague the name or nothing. And in my head, I'm like, why wouldn't you tell him the name? Like, what benefits does it come with not telling the person the name? Like, she was like, let's meet either later today or tomorrow, whatever. So she goes home, like, to Saratoru's home, and she walks inside, and Then like she hears someone come in and she thinks it's her son. She gets stabbed in the back by the killer, the murderer guy. And she falls down and she looks. She goes, "It was you. I knew it." And she tries to grab her phone so she could tell her son not to come home. So the killer just picks up the phone, and we see Saratoru like walking up the stairs, and then the killer like walks past him, but he has like a hat on, and like they look at each other, but kept walking. I thought the killer was gonna turn around and like stab him too, but he didn't. Saratoru like walks in, takes off his shoes. He sees that like the doors are all closed, like, and then when he opens it, he sees his mom like on the ground. There's like blood around her. So the first thing in your head is she's either dead or dying. So he goes and he turns her over, and like blood gets on one of his hands, and he like freaks out and like backs out into the hall, and the door is either still open or the neighbor opened it to return some pots or to give food or whatever, and she sees blood on his hands and starts screaming, and then he freaks out like, "No, it's not what you think." And then I don't know how, but like the cops get there like super fast. Probably the murderer guy probably called the cops or whatever. So he starts freaking out and he runs instead of being calm, collected, and explaining like, "No, I just came home. I found her like this." He just got off work. So there's already a timestamp of him being at work. And I'm pretty sure if they have any type of CSI, they could determine that the mom has been dead for a bit long. Like, I guess she hasn't been dead that long because the killer literally just walked out. But yeah, but he could easily have explained like, when I came home, I saw someone walked downstairs, and my door was open. The front door was slightly open. So, and he even like felt something weird when he saw that, and he looked back, and the person was already gone. So in his head, like, I'm like, you're a 29-year-old. Yeah, I know you're in shock from seeing your mom, but like, you gotta be smart. Like, he ran from the cops, and as he's running, his power activates, and we see him wake up as his childhood form. Like, I guess he's 10 at this point, and he's like at school or going to school, and he's over here freaking out because he's like, "Mom." So he runs home, finds like the key to open the door and all that stuff, and he was like, "Oh yeah, Mom's at work." So he knows his mom is at. He knows his, like, if he's in his little body, his mom's still alive. It's like he just wanted to see her, this kind of stuff, but she's not even home. So when she comes home, he's like asleep on the floor, and he's like he's feeling like he's feeling like happy to see her there, and then like shock and all the like all the emotion you would if you were in that position. And we know that like he knows what's going to happen, but the way he does things, like some of them just piss me off. Like some of his decisions, it just pisses me off. You're a 29-year-old. He's the same age I am now. I'm like, come on. So he's pretty much a 29-year-old in a 10-year-old body, and he remembers the death of the three people, and one of them is supposed to be someone in his friend group. Like that's like the second person that dies, and it's a guy named Hirumi, but like I guess he looks like a girl or whatever, because later on in the movie, like they're like, even though he's not a girl, he looks like one or something like that. Like a line like that like appears like later on, but it's not like he's feminine or nothing. It's just like the way his hair is, I guess. I don't know. But what was I gonna say? So the one he really focuses on is the first kid that dies, and it was like someone who was always alone, and her name is Kayo, and he acts like he's in a group, but like I guess you could say like the leader, Kenya, is like this, like he's smart and very observant as well for like his age. Like he's probably like smarter than some adults, like and observant, more observant than some adults are. Like I'll put him like close to like the mom. What was her name? Sach. I had it written down here. Where was it? Sachiko. Sachiko. That's the mom's name of Sartori. So he's like observant like her, but not at her level, of course, because she has experience and stuff. But he's like observant. So he later on calls out, not calls out, but like he observed things that's happening. So he noticed things, but he doesn't say it until like later on type thing. So Saratoru pretty much tries to get close to Kaio so that he could try to keep her safe. And she's someone who's a loner and is dealing with stuff, and he sees that and he tries to get closer and closer to her. And he does take he has a friend that's really outgoing, and he pretty much like nudged them together kind of thing, like have them meet to where he's like, I want to be your friend type thing. And then he keeps on trying to the point where she eventually, starts to be okay with them like being friends. Before she was like kind of against it, and she had like her own loner type thing. But over time, they do develop a friendship, and they both start to like each other. Now, remember, he's a 29-year-old and a 10-year-old. He doesn't really do anything to her, but like he a lot of his actions seems like that of a 10-year-old. And I understand that he also has to like show off that he is a normal kid to other people, but it's also his decisions in certain situations where no one is really observing him, that he does stuff that are stupid. So it's stuff like that too. It's like I shouldn't say stupid. I should say he does stuff that a kid would do that an adult wouldn't, because the adult knows more. So he does stuff like that. Now he still, does some smart things like that kid wouldn't do, but I mean, okay. So let's get it. So like him and Kaio makes a promise about not lying. He kind of broke that promise at one point and has to like apologize to her, and by lying, like he said he was gonna like try his best or whatever, like in a ice skating thing, and he decides to let the other guy win because that guy was someone who trained and is on the hockey team, so he trained hard. So he was like, he pulled back at the last second to let the guy win, and the guy gets mad and like said like, I hate people like you who, like, cause they let him win. So, well, he let him win, so he like pushed him down and like walked off, and like she noticed that too. So she was like, I thought we were gonna lie to each other, and then she like walked off type thing. So he works on building up that friendship again, like try to earn her trust. And he one day goes by her house, and he goes to the back, and he noticed the footsteps that led from the house, like back door to a shed. He opens it, and it's her, Kaio. Like I think she's like in a nightgown, and like she had bruises all over her. And she yelled at him to like close the door, and he wouldn't because, he's shocked that she's hurt. So he took off his jacket to try to give it to her, and then the mom came out of nowhere with Kaio's jacket. Like Kaio's mom came out of nowhere, and she like takes her back inside, and he already observed like the mom is hitting Kaio, like she's abusing her daughter, and he wants to say certain things, but he knows he can't, and he tries to figure out a way to like help her, not be home so that she gets hit. So he deduced that she gets hit on Saturdays, so that which is why Kaio's always late on Mondays. So we see like the mom like push the daughter's head in water to try to make the swelling go down, and like there's ice in it, and it looks like she's kind of drowning her type thing, and then the boyfriend is just out there like laughing and all that stuff, and like just that's crazy. Like if you're like trash like that, don't even bother having kids. Like you're it just pisses that scene, those scenes I should say, pissed me off. I just want to, if I okay, so he does what he can to try to keep Kaio safe. So he invites her out on a date, and his friends all like backed out because they were gonna go too. So his mom eventually shows up at one point, and pretty much talked the mom into allowing Kaio to go on this date with Satoru. And it's like a art museum type thing that he takes her to, and he eventually finds out that it's a place that she likes going to, and then in his head he was like, wait, this sounds familiar. Wait, did I already do this? And then he remembered, because it happened like when he was 10, so he's not gonna remember like when he's 29. So he was like, I came here by myself originally, and I ran into Kaio. So he thinking that he's making changes, but it seemed like things are going the same. Like him allowing that other kid to win in the ice skating thing happened before as well. So he's over here like, I'm making the same decisions. And then eventually, like when they like walked out, his friends came, and he was like, wait, this is something new. This is different. So he's pretty much getting Kaio to be more friendly with his friends, which he's also becoming more friendly with, because he was more of faking being like, caring about them. And this is what Kenya even mentions to him later on. And now he's not faking no more. He's actually starting to care about them and becoming friends, and they care about him. It was more of a him thing than a them thing. Like he viewed himself as worthless or whatever, so he didn't really develop like true friendship with them. But now he is, type thing. So he invites her to his birthday and asks her when's her birthday. She doesn't tell him, and he later on finds out that her birthday's the same as his. So they go, like he invites her to a party along with his other 4 friends, and when they get there, they have like 2 cakes and stuff, and they all party, have fun. He walks Kaio home as his friends say that they're gonna clean up all the mess and stuff at his house. So he walks her home, and then he goes back home like, yes, I did it, like, because she was supposed to die the day before her birthday. So I think it was May 1st, and their birthday's on May 2nd. So when he dropped her off home, he's over here happy. And he's just like looking at the clock, and he literally leaves his house like in the middle of the night, goes to her house like with the clock, waits until it turns 12, and he's like, yes, she made it. Goes back home, goes to school. Kaio doesn't show up. I think like 2 days pass or whatever, or she doesn't show up for like 2 days or whatever, and he goes to her house and like banging on the door like, Kaio, nothing. Goes in the back, looking shed. Nothing. And after a point, like he's over here running, like crying, like messed up, like he's like he doesn't know where she's at. Like he really deeply cares about Kaio, like at this point, like, and he returns back to his present self, and he's like in an alley, and he looks back, and then he remembers that his mom died, and he's on the run from the cops. There's still blood on his hands, and he runs to like under a bridge type thing, and he's just like living it like pretty much in a box. And what was it? He eventually meets up with Ari, who tells him to follow her, and she takes him to his house where he could clean up, rest, eat, all that stuff. And she has to go to work, so she's at work, and her manager's talking to someone who's on a committee. We don't see his face, but you already get the vibe, okay, that's the killer type thing. And the killer sees Ari, and because Ari's leaving, and she's taking home pizza, and then like we see her like get out of the building, and like she's walking down the road, and then we see the person like in the background just like looking at her, and his car's like right there, but he's looking at like towards her, and then like it's like more focused on her, and then we see room, and it's her boss saying, "Oh, you forgot this. It's like a drink that goes with the pizza, or like a promotion." She goes, "Oh, okay, thanks." And he's like, "I could drop you off home," type thing. I just want to make sure you're safe. And then we later find out that the manager told her to help Saratoru just so he could call the cops on him, because I guess because he's jealous that she might like Saratoru. So she finds him about to make the phone call, punches him, and is like, "You told me to do this, blah blah blah." And he's like, "I'm just trying to keep you safe." And she goes, "Well, if you want to keep me safe, then don't call the cops. I don't want my parents involved in this," type thing. And then like she leaves, and we see her and Saratoru like under the same bridge that he was in before, and she's telling him like, I'm sorry, I thought he wanted to help," type thing. He's like, Saratoru's like, "It's all right," but then the cops shows up, and he doesn't really run at this point because like they have him surrounded, so they handcuffed him, and as he's walking, the killer is right there, and he noticed the killer there, and he remembers seeing him while returning home that same day, and then he's over here freaking out, and he was like, "No, like, take me back!" Like, he's yelling, and his power activates, and he actually goes back. Now, he doesn't go fully back to where he started in the past, but he returns back to where he was when he was on the date with Kaio at the museum type place. So, from here, he tries to, like, he actually did change the future. She, instead of dying like on the 1st, she died on the 3rd, I believe. I think on the 3rd of May, or at least that's when they found her body. But nothing else really changed besides that. So he's doing what he could at this point to try to change things. This time, Kenya actually like noticed that Saratoru's on edge, so he eventually opens up to Kenya and told him like, "I need to protect Kaio." So this time they're working together to like try to save her. And after the party, they, instead of taking her home, they take her to this like van type thing, like so that she could just stay there, so she doesn't have to return home and be injured or nothing. Now she spends she's gone for like 3 days, but I think on the 2nd day, like a stranger like goes in there, doesn't know that she's in there, and like it looked like he was like looking for something, but like he kicks a box and then walks out, and she like opens like a cover thing and sees them walking away like in the snow, and then she eventually tells them that, and then they're like, "Okay, yeah, you can't stay here with a stranger," and she told them like, "Oh, there was a bag here," and like when she empties it out, it's all gears for like kidnapping someone, and only Saratoru realized that was like the killer, and it's a van like near a school, so he was like, "Yeah, she's not staying here." So he takes her back home and have her stays with them there. So she stays the night there, and Saratoru was also communicating with his homeroom, like with his teacher, like every so often. Like that's how he found out Kaio's birthday, and find out that he even knew that she was being beaten, and tried to call child services and the police, but the mom always eluded them. So so that's why they had her like taken, like, removed from the home for like 3 days, so that would further push the investigation. So now his mom, Saratoru's mom, is involved, and she, along with the teacher and the social service, teamed up, made a plan to catch the mom, like in the act. So the mom's like, "Oh yeah, well I'll take her to the police because you kidnapped my daughter." So she's already walking, and then the teacher shows up with Kaio's mom's mom, so Kaio's grandma, and she apologized to everyone, saying that it's her fault because she wasn't there to help her daughter with Kaio, even though she was in an abusive relationship. So she eventually takes guardianship over Kaio, and Kaio leaves town. So Kaio is safe, and so after that, now Satoru tries to focus on keeping Harumi and the other girl safe. So he makes sure that Hirumi is not alone, and then Kenya eventually figures out, like, you're acting like you did with Kaio. So he eventually tells him, like, we need to keep Hirumi safe as well. And then he also tries to protect the other person that he doesn't even know and does go to his school. Is a girl who goes to a different school, but is someone who also knows Yuki. So he tries to, like, work. He wanted to, like, see if he could go through Yuki to meet her, but since he opened up to his friends, they helped him and they went to go meet the girl, and she's smart. Like, she's a smart ass. So the other two friends who weren't, like, invited to go, they followed them, and the outgoing one who, like, pushed Satoru and Kaio together, he showed up, and, like, she was, like, kind of, like, making them feel like children and saying, like, heroes are for kids, and secret bases are for kids and stuff like that, which is making Kenya and Satoru like, mad and stuff. And he and Harumi's over here like, no, stop, like, calm down. So when the other friend comes, he says something like, hideouts are cool and stuff like that, and, like, she blushed. So I guess, like, them two, like, seem like they developed some type of relationship or friendship. So she's, like, a part of their group too now. So now both of them are safe. So now Satoru is going, like, he's with his mom, and they're, like, he was tailing the girl, but he gets a ride from his teacher at one point. And this is, like, I'm going backwards, like, with this. So when he was telling the girl before she joined their group, the mom sees him while going shopping and yells him to him to, like, come across the street to, like, help her with groceries. And then the teacher sees them, like, drive, like, while he was driving, and he takes them back home. And Kenya, like, opens up, like, one of the drawer, like, in the car, and a bunch of candy fall out. And I'm like, hello, he looked like the killer, like, in the present, and now he has a bunch of candy. He's like, oh, I just quit smoking, like, 3 months ago, and now I had to eat candy. The mom is in the back, like, she was, like, sleeping a little bit, and she takes the candy too. And I'm like, hello, candy? Kids going missing? Well, no kids went missing in this town, but there were kids going missing in another town. So, but it's whatever. So, how does Satoru not put this together? It's like, whatever. So, flash back forward. They're at a hockey game, and he thinks he wanted to talk to this girl who sits next to him in class, who was, like, a bully to Kaio, and he's waiting by the bathroom because he thought he saw her go in the bathroom, and the teacher comes out from the back and he goes, what are you doing here? He goes, oh, I want to talk to Misato, I think that's her name. And he goes, and then he, like, opens the door to look outside, and then Satoru looks outside and see that it's Yuki's dad's truck driving. There's, like, a box in the back, so he asks his teacher to give him a ride to where they follow him. He says, oh, well, we're playing this game where there's a kidnapper, and then the teacher pretty much reveals that he's the one who's been he's the kidnapper, and he drives him off into, like, where there's no people around, and this whole time Satoru's trying to, like, take off the belt, and he's like, it won't come undone. So I guess he did something to prevent it from coming undone, and he leaves Satoru in the car, puts the basketball on the wheel, I mean, not the wheel, but the pedal, and he lets it drive into the car, and Satoru's yelling, like, I know your future, you bastard, I'm gonna kill you. Like, he wants, like, just yelling at him, and, like, the car goes in, and it's, like, it's not deep, but, like, the front end to where Satoru is submerged, and it's cold water, because it's, like, winter, and, like, there's, like, ice around, like, snow, ice, cold water, and we see the mom, like, there's, like, the time skip or whatever, and we see the mom, like, she's just walking, and she looks sad, and she's, like, on the train, like, sitting down, like, in the park, stuff like that, and then when she returns home, we see that it's Satoru, but he's he's in the bed, like in a coma, and it looked like he might have woken up. I'm not sure, but we see him like actually up in the hospital, and we find out that he had memory problems where he doesn't fully remember everything, and from his point of view, it's like his 10-year-old self, well, now 11-year-old self, waking up in the future instead of his 29-year-old self. It's his 11-year-old self. He was like, huh? Like, just, so so he knows who the killer is, but he forgets. So, and this is episode 11, and there's only 12 episodes. This is the episode I hate the most. You don't understand because of what happened. So, his friend Kenya and Hirumi come to visit him, and Hirumi is trying to become a doctor at this point. I think he's already a doctor, or he's going to school to be a doctor, and Kenya is a lawyer now. So Kenya is working with the acquaintance of the mom, who is a reporter himself, and we see him like Satoru meet with him like when he was 29, like back when he was still on the run from like being, blamed for his mom's murder. So, but Satoru at this point doesn't remember him or nothing. So he's like, "Who are you?" He's like, "I worked with your mom like 20 years ago," and he's been in a coma for 15 years. 15 years. Yeah, so he's 26 at this point. So he wakes up as a 26-year-old, and he had to go through physical therapy to learn how to walk and stuff. And at one point, like his mom told the other two not to say anything to him, so like about the past. So they didn't really jog anything. So then Kaio comes in with a baby, and like just seeing her, he just immediately starts crying. And he doesn't really fully remember everything, but like her baby is crying, like his hands are out. Then Satoru like touches his hands like that, and so Satoru and the baby touch hands, and the baby eventually stops crying. And Kaio pretty much reveals that she ended up with Hirumi. Like her and Hirumi are married and they have a baby. And this really pissed me off because I'm like, the way Satoru reacts, it's not like he had feelings for her. He just woke up from being 11-year-old who cared deeply about her to now, like, and he even said himself like it's like he went asleep. Like it's not like like that time cap's there. So even though like they shouldn't like really be hated on because 15 years passed since then and anything could really happen, and he was in a coma. The fact is he should have reacted in a more shocked, angry, depressed type of way, and he was just fine with it. That wasn't realistic at all. And we find out that he gained his memory back when he like touched the kid's hand, because that's what he did with Kaio back in the day, and he remembered that. So even if, because he still remembered who Kaio was, he even started tearing up when he saw her. So there were still feelings there, at least. But the way he reacted was so out of, like, it made no sense. Can you just imagine, like, someone that you are with, someone that you truly cared about, the one you gave everything, you risked your life, all that stuff, to keep safe, and who you care about, and who cares about you. Now, you go sleep. She's already married, have a kid, and she's married to one of your best friends. He even stated that Hirumi and Kenya are two of his best friends. Your best friend ended up with your girl. You're telling me, and remember, he, at first, like before he gained his memory, he still has an 11-year-old mind. He should be pissed, mad, angry, whatever, but he was understanding. What 11-year-old is understanding about something like that? Come on. I wanted to see him pissed off, like, depressed, or like, so you two, and I did all, like, they even mentioned, like, she even mentioned, like, Kaio even mentioned, like, it's because of you that me and Hirumi are alive and able to live, all that, like, he took her out of her shell and everything, and like I'm not trying to blame her, because I understand, like, she still had to live her life for 15 years, but you brought your baby. You told, like it seemed like that would have been too much, though. Like, when he just woke up, he should still have he would still have an 11-year-old mind at this point. And you're telling him that you married his best friend and have a baby with him. Like, that scene should have been handled better, to where he got mad, and to where she should have been, understanding, like, oh, I should have known, like, you would be pissed or hurt, like something. But no, that's never even addressed. Like, he's still cool with both of them. So we find out that and his teacher became like a councilman and is there in the hospital. He was like hanging around with this other little girl who's going to go in surgery. So that's probably someone he already plans to kill. Now, he already has Sartoru's fingerprints on this bag, to where he injected drugs in that would eventually, like, kill the girl. So he takes him up to the roof so they could talk, and Sartoru reveals that he has his memory back and he knows that he's the killer. So they're going through this whole dialogue, and his teacher is like, oh, you got a cell phone in your pocket, or a recording device, and who's on the line? I'm guessing Kenya. And then he takes out the phone from his pocket, and it was Kenya, and he emails his mom, Sartoru's mom, like, hey, I'm sorry about it, to make it seem, so Sartoru even, like, deduced it, like, you want me to say that I poisoned the girl to get her killed, and then I killed myself by throwing myself off the roof, right? He's like, oh, you're still doing it now, you're predicting all my moves type thing. And then Sartoru eventually tells him, because I know the future, you killed my mom in the future or whatever. And he goes like, and then he's like, yes, I know the future and all that stuff. So Sartoru at this point is like, no, I win, because two things would have happened. You kept me alive for 15 years, which means you need me alive. I'm the reason you feel alive. And he like pushes the teacher, and then, like, he's on a wheelchair right now because, physical therapy. He could technically walk, but he's in the wheelchair. So he's going, and he goes at this gate that's like kind of open, and he like turns like he's about to fall, and he's like looking at him, and the teacher like grabs on the bar, and he's like, and they're talking like, see, like, you can't let me die, because without me you won't feel alive. You'll be dead without me. And then eventually the teacher, like, I think he starts crying. He's like, you're right, I can't live without you. So he lets go, and we see like him fall like from over the edge, and then we just hear a crash. And then the teacher was like this, like, I can't live without you, and he's about to like drop, and then he sees that Sartoru's on like a bag that the people close to him are, like, so Kenya, his mom, the reporter who took pictures of like the guy literally holding him, because they couldn't. The teacher even revealed, like, even if you had recordings of me saying that I killed these kids like 15 years ago, there's a limitation to things. So like, he couldn't be convicted for the fact that he killed people 15 years ago, because he's not doing nothing now. So they caught him in the act of attempt murder now. So he eventually gets arrested, and we see that Sartoru goes to an office where his manga, it actually worked out, because now he's truly, like, digging down deep to like write stuff, and he's becoming a successful artist, manga artist. And he returns back home to like have a dinner date with his friends, and he's sitting next to Hirumi, and next to Hirumi is Kayo. In my head, I'm still like, you should still be pissed with these people, even if you have your 29-year-old memory. Like, he truly, even as a 29-year-old in his old body, had feelings for this girl. Now he didn't try nothing weird on her, because he still, has the mind of a 29-year-old. But in his head, he would be like, I saved her Return to the Future, maybe end up with her type thing. But like that shouldn't be that shouldn't be cool. He finds out that the girl that used to sit next to him that bullied Kaio, she actually didn't really hate him or nothing. She actually was the one who raised money for a lot of his medical bills, and he was shocked when he found this out. And when they're all the friends are like meeting again in the old town, she shows up. She's looking pretty good, and like he's blushing and stuff. So you think that there might be something between them, but no. Years pass. Like I think the last 3 years passed, so that he's again 29 at this point, and he was working in his office, like drawing, and he has like 2 other people there that I guess work for him. So he leaves office to go for a walk, and it's snowing a little bit, and he eventually goes under the same bridge that he was in before in the past, and eventually he sees Ari, who she was taking pictures, and she walks under because it started to snow pretty bad. Was it snow or was it rain? I think it was snow. No. It might have been snow. And she takes off like her hood, and she goes, "Can I stay under here like to escape the storm?" And he's like he's about to cry, and he goes, "Yeah, sure." Or I think he goes, "Yeah, sure," or whatever. But he meets with Ari again, and in my head I'm like, and that's the end. Like that's the end. And in my head I'm like, that. So you go from a girl that you had a deep connection with to a girl who's younger than you by like 11 years or so, and you barely really know. Like she helped him out. Like she met his mom once, had dinner together, and then helped him out when he was on the run. Okay, cool. Now, he never, even though they worked together, they never really, got to really know each other except for those 2 occurrences. He knew Kaio for weeks. Twice. Because he went back into the past twice. Plus, when he initially already outlived that. So, 3 times if you want to say that. But he didn't really even know her. He just knew of her. Except until he went back in the past the first and second time. So, he would have been close. Even though, yeah, sure. As childhood love, whatever. He still has more connection with Kaio than he does with Ari. So that's what I'm saying. He should have been pissed or showed some type of a, negative emotion towards the fact that his best friend ended up with his old girlfriend, his childhood love, that he risked all this for. Because he cared more about her and saving her than he did Harumi. It could, yeah, sure, you could say, well, she dies before Harumi. But that wasn't even a factor in his head. His head was oh, Kaio dies at this time. I gotta do whatever I can to save her. And then after she was saved, then he started focusing on Harumi and all the others. But, that's all the others, and the other girl. So, that's what I don't understand. Tell me what you thought about this. Does that make sense to you? Tell me what you thought of the series. I do like the series. It had great art. It had great music at the scenes. The scenes were great, especially when it's characters having creating memories. So either Saratoru with his mom, or Saratoru with his group of friends, or Saratoru with Kaio. Those scenes are impactful, and that's why it makes me mad when I see her end up with Harumi, because even though she eventually starts hanging out with his group of friends, they never show him a type of friendship or anything. I mean, not type of friendship. They never showed anything, any interactions. It would just hit Saratoru and Kaio always showing that strong interaction. I mean, Saratoru even made a wisecrack to Kenya for a second I thought you were gonna ask for hours, and he goes, "I wouldn't do that to you." So Kenya literally said, "I would not do that to you." Harumi wasn't there at that point, but Harumi does it. Now you could say, sure, they could have, and that's another thing. She leaves town, so at no point would they have met unless both of them met while visiting him. Unless you could say, well, the friend, because they didn't have her contact, so. Cause she's just a little girl, she's not. She just left after that. The only person that was there was Sartoru, and then his mom and teacher and stuff like that. So none of the kids would have been able to contact her. So they would have had to have met while visiting Sartoru. So while she visited him, Sartoru, while he was in a coma, and then Harumi, Kenya, all of them visit Sartoru as well, then they would have had to met up within that 15 years for that to really happen. Unless they went to the same school or something, but that's never really implied. So we're going to have to go with what we know, which is that they visited him. 'Cause, like, she even said, like, that Kaio waited for him to wake up and stuff like that. So I'm like, I don't know, that just makes me mad, though. Because I'm like, because, you know, you're like, okay, man, he's doing all this, because, he did all this just for her. And there's another, series that I watched called Your Name, and I don't want to spoil anything, really, but, like, it's a good one as well. It's a time-traveling one type series as well, but that's handled better, because, like, you know what? That's an old one. Anyways, like, if you didn't want to know any spoilers of Your Name anime, then you should have clicked off. But even in that one, he switched bodies with the other main girl. So he's in her body and she's in his, and they're both kids or whatever, like teenagers. And there's a girl that, you know, like a hot girl that works at his job. So, like, she even helps him go on a date with her and all that stuff. And eventually them both develop feelings. Like, him and the main guy and the main girl develop feelings for each other, because they spend time with each other more than he does with the girl. Like, sure, she worked with him, but until the girl switched bodies with him, they never became a thing. They became a thing because of her, the girl. So he still he lived in her shoes pretty much, and she lived in his shoes, and they used to always message each other, and they used to talk. So that connection was always there. And he finds out that, like, she died in the past, and he does whatever he can to save her, and he does. And eventually they end up together. That's an ending that I was expecting with Kaio and Saratoru. Now, I do like the fact that, like, they changed it up to where, okay, it's not what you predicted there, even though it was easy to guess the killer, but they went about it the wrong way, because if you were going to suggest that he should have ended up with Ari, you should have had her in more scenes, more impactful scenes, but you had more impactful scenes with Kaio, so he should have ended up with Kaio. So, well, that's it for this, because this is going to be a long video. Like, subscribe, comment down below if you want me to watch and review another anime series, or maybe TV series or whatever, or movie, and I'll get back to you guys. So, see you guys next time. Peace.